do the right thing and hand that farm over. My brother Kevin's voice came through the phone dry and completely hollow. He did not bother to ask how my left knee was holding up the same knee that an IED shrapnel tore to shreds in Yemen. My name is Amy. I am a Navy captain. For 12 years, I have bled on foreign soil to protect this country, only to find out that the most cowardly enemy I would ever face shares my own blood. He, along with my biological parents, just filed a lawsuit to steal the only thing my late grandfather left me, charging me with intentional family abandonment. If you have ever had your blood relatives turn their backs on you and bleed you dry out of pure greed, tell me where you are listening from, what time it is. Drop the word justice in the comments and hit subscribe. Stick around because you are going to want to see exactly how I used a single receipt to rip off their hypocritical masks right in the middle of a courtroom. 9 months. That was how long I'd been breathing in sand diesel fumes and the metallic stench of gray warships. Now I sat hunched over a cracked yellow vinyl booth inside a Waffle House tucked right behind Interstate 264. My left knee throbbed, a steady sickening pulse burying itself deep in the bone. It was a permanent souvenir from a dirt road in Yemen. The air inside the diner was thick. It smelled like burnt coffee and heavy bleach. Behind the counter, bacon fat popped and hissed on a flat-top griddle. The sticky, sickeningly sweet scent of maple syrup hung in the exhaust fans. It was chaotic. It was loud. It smelled exactly like America. I ordered a peanut butter waffle and a black coffee. Grandpa Arthur's order. It was a stupid little ritual, a quiet anchor. I just wanted 1 hour of peace to wash off the combat dust. 1 hour where nobody was screaming for a medic, where I did not have to scan the tree line for snipers. My body felt like lead drained down to the marrow. I stared at the dark liquid in my heavy ceramic mug. A waitress with tired eyes and a grease-stained apron stepped up holding a glass coffee pot. More coffee, Han. Before I could even nod, my phone buzzed against the sticky Formica table, a harsh, rattling vibration. I looked down. A new email notification lit up the screen. The sender was a law firm, Sterling and Vance. The subject line was ice-cold, stripped of all humanity. Case file 42388B. A civilian might have swiped it away. Ignored it for a few more hours of peace. But the military wires your brain differently. You do not ignore incoming threats. You assess them immediately. I tapped the screen. The PDF took exactly 3 seconds to load. In those 3 seconds, the entire diner simply vanished. The clatter of heavy silverware, the country music dragging from the corner jukebox, the hum of the highway traffic outside, it all got sucked into a black hole. The only sound left was a high-pitched, deafening ring in my eardrums. Black ink on a blinding white screen. 2 names dug into my retinas like jagged glass. Plaintiffs Richard and Martha Watts. Defendant Captain Amy Watts. I did not blink. My lungs stopped pulling in oxygen. My eyes tracked down the page, scanning the legal jargon. It was dry, clinical, lethal. Petition for partition of property due to negligence and intentional abandonment. Abandonment. They printed that word 3 separate times on the very first page. It hit like a hammer, striking a raw, exposed nerve over and over again. They were standing in front of a judge accusing me of leaving Grandpa Arthur's log cabin to rot in the dirt. I looked down at my plate. The waffle was dead cold. The peanut butter I had spread on top was already solidifying into a hard, dull paste. A short, harsh laugh scraped its way up my throat. It sounded like grinding metal. There was no humor in it, 0 emotion. The reality was sitting right there in my bank statements. For the last 9 months, my world had been nothing but blast walls, body armor, and gray steel. But I never abandoned a single thing. Property taxes automatically drafted straight from my active duty Navy pay on the 1st of every month. The brand new asphalt roof they got in 2021, I paid for that in full. I used my hazard pay while sitting in the belly of a destroyer in the Arabian Gulf. The busted water pipe last winter, I authorized a wire transfer to a local plumber over a static-filled satellite phone from a forward operating base. Every single cent. Paid in full. Up to date. The lawsuit connected straight to the phone call I received from Kevin just 3 days ago. His voice echoed in the back of my skull. Casual, entitled, Lazy. Mom and Dad and I need the money. You should do the right thing and hand it over. He knew. He knew about the taxes. He knew about the roof. But he played along anyway. He wanted his cut. Not a single question about the blood I lost overseas. Not one damn word about the titanium pins holding my leg together. That casual, indifferent cruelty was a physical blow. It cut deeper than the shrapnel that shredded my flesh. My jaw locked tight. The muscles in my neck tightened into thick cords. I pressed the side button on my phone, turning the screen black. I reached into my front pocket, pulled out a crumpled $20 bill, and slapped it flat onto the greasy table. I stood up. My knees screamed in protest, a sharp spike of agony, but I forced my spine perfectly straight. The posture of an officer. The heavy, suffocating weight of the truth finally settled deep in my chest. This was never about money. They did not need the cash. They were hunting that cabin to smash the only proof that Grandpa Arthur ever believed in me. I survived a war zone, but the truth was undeniable. At home on American soil, the most dangerous enemy I had was my own blood. The dull, throbbing pain in my left knee grounded me. It was a physical reminder of the war I survived in Yemen. But as I sat in my truck outside that diner staring at the lawsuit on my phone, a different kind of pain flared up. An old one. The kind that does not bleed but leaves a scar thick enough to choke you. The first time my family made it clear I was nothing but a burden, I was 17 years old. State basketball finals, fourth quarter. I went up for a rebound and came down wrong. The bone in my left arm cracked. A sharp, sickening snap that echoed on the hardwood. Sitting in the emergency room, I did not feel the pain in my arm. I felt pure, suffocating dread. I stared at the door, waiting for my father, Richard. When he finally walked in, he brought the smell of the auto shop with him. Motor oil, cheap tobacco, and Gojo hand cleaner. The harsh, fluorescent lights buzzed above us. He looked at the heavy white plaster cast covering my arm. There was no pity in his eyes. There was only disgust. He crossed his arms, his grease-stained knuckles flexing. He let out a short, mocking sneer. "See, I told you this was a waste of time," he said, his voice echoing off the sterile tile walls. "Now you are useless. Who wants a girl with arms as thick as a man?" He did not ask if I needed pain medication. He did not ask what the doctor said. I looked past his shoulder. My mother, Martha, stood in the corner. She stared at the linoleum floor, her hands shoved deep into her pockets. She did not say a word. Her silence was a cold, heavy blanket. It was absolute complicity. That afternoon, I drove my beat-up sedan back to the house using only my right hand. I spent that entire summer working the counter at Dairy Queen, wiping sticky syrup off tables with my good arm to pay off my own hospital bill. I learned the price of my own worth that summer. But the real insult came a year later. My older brother Kevin turned 18. He celebrated by drinking cheap vodka and driving the brand new Ford F-15. My parents bought him straight into an oak tree. The truck was crushed metal and hissing steam. Kevin got a DUI. I expected the roof to cave in. I expected Richard to unleash hell. Instead, my father drove to the precinct and screamed in the face of the arresting police officer. He blamed the town. He blamed the road conditions. A week later, he walked into a dealership, pulled cash from a safe, and bought Kevin a heavier, more expensive truck. "It is an investment," Richard told my mother at the dinner table. "The boy needs to get to work." 2 months later, I walked into the garage. The smell of exhaust fumes burned my throat. Richard was bent over an engine block. I asked him for $200 to attend a summer military fitness camp. I wanted to enlist. I needed to prepare. He did not even look up. He wiped a black greasy rag across his hands and let out a dry, rattling laugh. "No money for that garbage," he muttered. My ambition was garbage. Kevin's criminal record was an investment. There was only one place in that town where I did not feel like a stray dog. Grandpa Arthur's log cabin. He was a World War II veteran. His house always smelled like fresh pine sawdust and sweet pipe tobacco. He never looked at me like I was a mistake. When I was 10 years old, he called me out to the back porch. He reached into his pocket and placed a heavy, cold object into my palm. A A solid brass navy compass. The glass was scratched, but the metal was heavy and real. The world will try to get you lost. Little Amy, he said, tapping the glass with a calloused finger. They will tell you that you are not smart enough. They will say you are not feminine enough. Do not listen to them. All you ever need to know is your true north. Your honor. He was the only one who saw the fire inside my chest and did not try to drown it. He told me to forge it into steel. If you are listening to this right now and you know exactly how it feels to be the scapegoat in your own home, if you have watched your parents give everything to the golden child while you had to fight for scraps, hit the like button. I want you to drop the word SCAR in the comments and subscribe to the channel. Let me know I'm not the only one who had to build a life out of nothing. The ultimate punishment from my parents came 12 years ago. I was stuck in basic training. The air outside the barracks was freezing. I stood in the hallway holding a cold plastic payphone to my ear.